Let's talk about the Andrew Tate situation. So, if you've been following this show, I actually probably haven't mentioned Andrew Tate's name and had a video dedicated to stuff he's done since he did that fight back in December, where he kind of got a little bit cooked. But even he will admit that he got cooked and that he has places to improve. Of course, even he's made videos talking about it. But in the earlier days of the show, because kind of my consuming of Andrew Tate is kind of been on and off throughout the years. Like I'd have moments where I'd have like month periods where I'm watching every emergency meeting, truly taking in that information, and I'd kind of move away from it for a little bit. But the more I kind of think about things, the more I remember the types of stuff that he talks about, the type of stuff that I consumed. I really do believe that he is a positive influence on society, and the positives are way more than the negatives. Of course, there's some negatives. Like I disagree with him on certain things, and I disagree with of course as well his perspective on religion and his belief in God and how he became Muslim. Like I disagree with that personally, but the disagreement is not hate. Like I'm not the person that hates Andrew Tate. I actually really do support him. I actually think that he that he is doing good and he's trying his best to do good for the world. And I do think God's hand is with him in his life. But like I haven't actually really talked about him because there hasn't really been any crazy things that have been happening. But now we're in a situation where he's been arrested again, and these kind of cases are just kind of coming up again. But in the earlier days of the show, because I was in that moment where I was just consuming a lot of his content and watching a lot of stuff, I was just talking about him a lot and quoting him a lot of different times and just mentioning him in many episodes. Earlier days of the show, right? So we're talking from like October till like December. And then after that fight, I kind of didn't really talk about him for a little bit, mostly because I wasn't really consuming a lot of his content. I was trying, I had some things in my life that I had to focus on rather than just consuming a bunch of content, right? So, so that's what I was kind of dealing with. Now I'm in the point where like I watched the recent Jack Neel podcast that he did with him, and that was definitely something a little bit eye opening. It was the first time that he actually went through, and credit to Jack Neel for making this happen, right? Where he purposefully had a video and he made this podcast with Andrew Tate and then he saved it until something happened again. Which now we're in the point where they got arrested again. Both Andrew and Tristan got arrested again in America under Trump, which was like no one really ever thought that would happen, right? But but now that it's happened again, now that it's happened again, he literally posted that episode that they made that they had in the chamber a couple days after. So I watched that, and it was Andrew Tate from start to finish explained the specific situation behind his legal case, everything that happened in his life from 2022 till now, in detail. And it's never actually happened before. He's never actually been able to do it before because of the fact that as he was still on house arrest, as he was still dealing with his Romanian case, he couldn't really legally come out and explain it this deeply. I remember Tristan Tate, maybe like a year ago, he came out and he did like a solo episode where he kind of talked about it, but it wasn't anywhere near as big, of course, because it was just kind of like it was a random emergency meeting, right? It wasn't like anything specifically made to be big. But when Tate goes on Jack Neel and he's talking about this, when Tate goes on Jack Neel, regardless, he gets a lot of views. But now he's talking about something so specific. This is the specific order of the case, and this is how all of this stuff went through. And as I've watched it, I'm like, how can people think that this guy is lying? Like, you're really like gonna realize you're gonna watch a three. First of all, the people that think he's lying aren't watching this episode. They're not seeing this side of him. They're just looking at clips, and you're not gonna get a good opinion on someone just by watching clips of them, obviously. But some people, unfortunately, on the internet don't realize that. But if you actually sat there and watched this 3.5 hour episode, and it's a long episode, obviously, because it's a long story, right? It's a crazy story, lots of good, lots of bad. Like when you're at that kind of level, you have to take the good with the bad, and that's the truth, right? So it's a long story, but you can't tell me at the end of watching that and seeing his whole perspective that, oh, he's just lying about everything. He's lying about literally like the cops talking about how this has never happened before, that they've never raided his house, that they never raided a house 3 times before, like the SWAT team, and they were like peaceful with each other. And in the cop talking about how they're a fan of him, but they just have to do their job and they know he's innocent, but they've just been called to do this. And him being in jail and him getting the one judge that was fighting for righteousness and justice in the justice system where everyone else was just corrupt. He gets the one judge that's actually righteous and lets him free, or at least lets him go out of jail and go to house arrest. Like you can't tell me that after hearing that whole story, oh, it's all fake and it's all wrong and and he is guilty and he did all these bad things, and it's like he only he knows and only God knows truly what he actually did. But the more you look at it, the more you realize like he can't be lying about all of this stuff just from a logical perspective. Like he cannot be sitting there for 3.5 hours and all he's doing is telling lies. Like no, like that's just not really possible. You'll find that even if someone tries to do that, things slip up, right? You see like actual politicians, and when they're lying, the whole thing is it's like if they're on an interview, they're gonna do an interview for maybe like an hour because that's like their kind of threshold. And if they go to like 2 hours, 3 hours, you'll find that more and more lies kind of get sprinkled in because as you get more comfortable with someone, you kind of have that you lower your guards a little bit, right? And as you kind of are talking, maybe you sometimes run out of things to talk about, and then maybe again like a thing that's a lie slips through, or a thing that's an obvious lie slips through, or maybe it gives the chance for the interviewer to question you on something that you said that was a lie. An hour is enough time for them to kind of get away with it. But that's why when Trump did the Joe Rogan episode for 3 hours, that's why that helped him get elected, because that was him just being raw and real and not like just, you can't sit there and lie for 3.5 hours. It does come out, right? It does absolutely slip out. Like the lies, they will slip out. So it's a long time to just be sitting there and talking and having a conversation and being interviewed and being asking questions and pressured and talking about things. So it's like for the Andrew Tate situation, I look at that episode and I think it's an amazing episode. I'm very glad that we've actually gotten an episode like this where he's gone through and he's broken it down step by step, bit by bit throughout the last couple of years. So I'm glad that they did it. But of course he's not lying. Like I look at it, it's like he can't be lying. It just doesn't make any sense for him to be lying and for him to be doing this. Like why would he be fighting still if he was actually guilty, if he knew that he did those things? So I'm on the side absolutely that he's not guilty, that he didn't do those things. I disagree with him on some of his actions and of course some of the things that he did do, but at the end of the day, like what he did was not illegal. Again, if he did those things, he would be in jail. Like they want to get him, right? The UK government wants to get him so bad, and that's why he got arrested again. They said like, oh, the charges increased to 59, despite him never actually being convicted of anything. And he's extradited to England. And obviously, Tate knows, and if you saw the episode, Tate knows that yes, if he goes to England, he's screwed. They're going to get him on something, even if it's some garbage. They'll figure out a way to make it happen. That's why he's just trying his best. That's why he felt like he was safe to be in America, but clearly that's not the case, especially under Trump's America. Crazy that he's being arrested now in this current time, which is like, to me, to some people it might be like, oh, that means he has to be guilty. People will make that reason and that excuse. But to me, it's like, that makes me kind of more like, oh, Trump is just like the rest of them. He is not really anything different. And he has to listen to the people that are above him, and the people that are above him are telling him to arrest this guy because he's too much of an influence, or he was still too much of an influence. At the end of the day, he's not as popular as he was in his peak times, and if they kill him or if they put him in jail, it's like his legacy's not going to just die. Like he's not just going to be forgotten about. Like people will, there are still so many people, and of course the whole school, like the real world school, and or whatever it used to be, Hustlers University, that type of thing. There will always be people that support him and will keep spreading his name and his word, and all sorts of accounts just clipping out stuff from his videos, and his name will probably not die for at least like another 5 to 10 years, right? Unless all social media is just straight ban all Andrew Tate content, like TikTok. Like you literally show his face in a TikTok video, your video gets taken down for community guidelines. It's so woke, so garbage. But if every platform does that, then maybe they'll shut him up and his name will actually die. But as of now, it's not really the case, right? There are many other people, like, you think about a guy like Nick Fuentes, which is basically like an even more extreme version of the types of things Andrew Tate was saying, and an even more controversial version. Like the fact that he actually is able to be there, and other people that are spreading the word. It's like, yes, you can't cancel everyone, right? Especially when you have more and more people that are realizing, oh, the system's rigged. There is like a kind of system, a kind of matrix thing that's trying to keep you trapped, that's trying to censor you. And once you speak out, you'll start to see some consequences happen, right? They'll try and find a crime against you. And of course, Andrew Tate's not the only one in this space that has gone through this situation. It's not like every single guy that says something controversial online has human trafficked someone or has had or has like done some terrible things to women, right? Or just hates women as a misogynist. Obviously, that's a word that's been overused and overbloated, of course, because of Andrew Tate. That's not the case, right? That's not how life works. It's like, oh, it's literally like just because they disagree with a certain opinion, oh, that means you're a bad person, right? That means you're immoral. That means you had to have done a crime, right? I personally don't think that Andrew Tate has done those things. And I just wanted to kind of talk about it and touch upon it because of the fact that it's like, wow, like, they're really going to arrest him again. They're really going to try their best to bring him to England, right? He should have just stayed in Dubai, but obviously he's stubborn. He wants to live his life. He wants to go out and travel the world and, of course, live the kind of extravagant lifestyle which he's been living, of course. But he should have probably stayed in Dubai because that was probably his safest place. But even in America, where he thought he was safe, he's been arrested, and they're going to try their absolute hardest to bring him to England, where he's almost certainly going to get screwed over. And if they're unable to, they will probably just put a bullet in his head and it'll be done. But they don't want to resort to that because they perhaps know that doing that will still cause a big impact on the world, and people will start to actually come out and rebel. For sure, because again, he has the school, he has all of these followers, he has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that will instantly come to his defense, right? And he had this whole thing where he talks about how they called him a national security threat to the country because he had more influence than the government. But that's the thing, is that they're right? He could have at any point told people to gather together in a certain place and start a revolution. He could have done that, but he didn't do that because he wants to still fight it from the righteous, morally right, peaceful perspective. And that's like, it's these things that make me kind of sit here and think, no, of course he's not a bad person. Of course he's done bad things, but we all have done bad things. If my whole life was thrown out there on the internet, you could probably take a bunch of bad things and a bunch of bad things I've said and bad clips from my life and incriminalize me, right? Like, honestly, like with this podcast, we're almost at 300 episodes. If you wanted to, and if I was big enough, you could absolutely go through some of the episodes and you could have seen some terribly controversial things that I talked about in my podcast, and you could make a compilation of that and make me out to be a terrible person. Only the people that know who I am know that, like, I'm not a bad person. Sometimes I just have opinions that are different, and that's okay, right? I try my best to glorify God, but absolutely, I've slipped. Things have slipped, and anger has slipped out throughout this show, especially in like the earlier days too, for sure. You can take it in for sure. You can absolutely incriminalize me with those things, but I'm lucky that I'm irrelevant, right? Like, that's the truth. I'm irrelevant. I'm not popular. There's no reason for anyone to clip things out of my podcast. In the future, if I ever do reach a level of success, maybe these podcasts will come back to bite me. But honestly, I'm ready for it. Like, it's just like, to me, it doesn't matter. To me, it's like I said the things I've said. I have my opinions on things. I have this log of my life, which is this 365 podcast, and that's okay. But that's kind of the case with Andrew Tate. He went on some podcasts where he was purposefully being satirical, and he was purposefully making jokes. And he was purposefully, bragging about his pimping and all that stuff, right? On purpose, just to be funny. And people obviously, of course, take all that out of context and just make him out to be a terrible person, of course. When you're on the internet, that's the case, right? But I think genuinely, if anyone can sit down and watch that podcast with Jack Neel, and you have to say, like, you can't say, oh, he has to be lying about all of this. Like, just logically, like, you can't say that, because you actually look at how he goes through it all. It's like you can't be saying that, right? You cannot say that he's lying. And so then if he's not lying, what's happening? He's telling the truth. And he's truly not guilty of the things that he's being convicted for. And it is the case where it is a system, and more people are realizing that it is a system, and that they're trying to get him to shut up, but he doesn't want to shut up because he's so damn stubborn. And he says it himself, of course, that he's stubborn and he wants to fight, and he wants to go down swinging, and he's accepted that he's probably going to lose the fight at the end of the day, whether he gets thrown in jail or whether they put a bullet in his head. But at least he went down swinging rather than selling out and taking the money and going and effing off to Dubai, where he can just not have to worry about anything, right? Or to some other place, right? He mentions Vietnam as, like, again, just a random place, like when Hitler went to Argentina type of thing. Like, no one really bothered him when he was out there, right? Like instead of him just kind of, I mean, actually, wait, we don't even know if that happened, right? We don't know if that happened. Sorry. That's a conspiracy theory. I'm sorry. It's not proven. You can't prove it, right? The actual story is that he shot himself, right? Him and his wife, they shot himself in the bunker before everyone came there. But yes, there's a story. There's the story. It's a theory. I forgot. History didn't tell you that part, that he went to Argentina. But if he did kind of escape and make it to Argentina, he had no problems there, right? Like, that's the type of thing that they wanted Andrew Tate to do, but he refuses to do it. And that's why he's being arrested again in America. Not because he's actually guilty, but because the Brits want him gone so bad that that they just want to get rid. They just want to get rid of him. And even if he's not as popular as he was back then, I think the damage has already been done. His influence on the world's already been done, and his schools only continue to grow. And of course, in that Jack Neel podcast, which again you should go and watch if you want to actually have a real opinion on the guy rather than basing it off of clips and garbage, you should go and watch that and truly see, hey, this is what happened from start to finish from his perspective. You can look at the liberals' perspective, you can look at the government's perspective, but it's basic, like, this is what happens when you're a kid, right? Like, this is basic things. It's like, you need both perspectives, right? Like, I remember when I was a kid and I felt like people were bullying me, so I'd go to the teacher and complain about it, and then the teacher would actually bring the guy that I thought was bullying me, and he wasn't really, like, he wasn't trying to bully me. He was just making a joke with his friends, right? Or at a time where he wasn't even really talking about me, but I was just so self-conscious, and I was kind of, a dumb kid at the time. But, like, we heard both perspectives of the situation. It's like basic stuff that you learn as a kid, right? So now we're here in a world where you just look at one perspective and you see that as the only way the way the situation is. How about you watch the 3.5 hour podcast where he himself explains from his perspective the stuff that happened? And then you can make your decision. If you still want to hate him, fine. But at least you have a better opinion and a better judgment on the situation rather than just blindly going out there and just from clips alone hating the guy. So that's why I go and recommend you go and watch this. But it's like, fair play to Jack Neel, right? Who's like, he's that guy that he's kind of the new age, where it's like he's gonna say what he thinks, and he's going to have the people on his show that he thinks will have an impact, that he wants, regardless of how controversial they are. He's had absolutely everyone you can think of under the sun on that just not a lot of people agree with. But that's because he finds them interesting, and of course Andrew Tate, the primary example. So it's good for him that he gave him a platform to talk about these things, and a 3.5 hour episode that they had in the vault that he just happened to post because I guess they did know that something else would come up, that it wouldn't be perfect, that his story wasn't over. And of course now with the arrest, it's the topical thing. His story is not over, and we're going to keep going, and it's going to continue until we find out, oh, is he actually going to go to prison? Are they going to win? Is it going to be the happy ending, or are the government's going to win? But most likely the governments are going to win, and it's unfortunate, but at least he's had the impact on the world that he's tried to have. And I think the one message I can say is this, like, if you have something that you want to say, go and say it, right? Regardless of what people think, regardless of what the backlash will be, regardless of anything. Say what's on your mind. And if you can truly be a good impact to people in your life, and you don't have to do it from the scale that he did it, but if you can be an impact to those around you by being a positive influence, do it, right? Do it. Don't just stay stuck in your shell, and don't just have these fears, and don't let narratives affect what you do. That's why I talk about things on the show, and that's why I'm talking about this situation on my show. Like, again, you can't even say the name Andrew Tate. You can't even put his name on TikTok because that's how woke that platform is. But I mean, I post all the clips and the shorts that I make from these videos on TikTok as well. Obviously, I've had to learn that the hard way. So obviously for this episode, there won't be a clip on TikTok. But I'll do my best to put a clip out there on YouTube. But the point is you shouldn't be fearful of backlash, especially on the internet. That's why I make this show, because I'm just saying my opinion. I'm just trying to give a good perspective. I'm trying to, of course, glorify God, spread words of Jesus Christ. That's going to be what I do first and foremost on the show. It's what I try to do. I know I fall short, and I know it's imperfect, but I don't really care, right? The more I talk about my God, the more there will be people, atheists, all these types of guys in the comments hating, or even bots, of course, in the comments hating. But for me, it's like, that's okay. That's okay. I'm spreading, I think, what I think is my opinion, what I think is the good perspective in the world, what will help people in their lives do better. And that's all I can do, right? Even if I change a couple of people's hearts, that's fine. I think that's also a very great positive thing. You're not going to change millions of people's hearts like Andrew Tate did, but I think you will have an impact on the people around you. So instead of being scared and being stuck in your shell, speak your mind. Speak what you need to speak, right? Speak what needs to be said in certain situations. Be brutally honest, and that can help be a good influence to people around you. That can help weed out pull out the weeds, right? People that will hate you for speaking out, you realize, okay, they're not actually on your side. But people that appreciate that you're giving a perspective, right? Like I know who's my friends and who's not my friend now. Those that actually support my show, those that actually like watch some of these episodes, and even if they disagree with me, they still tune in every now and again. Those are the people that are my friends. They actually are supporting me, even if we all know that it's probably not going to work out, obviously. But they're still there supporting me regardless. I know who are my friends and I know who aren't. I know who just don't care and are maybe talking crap behind my back about my show and about my ambitions in my life. I know that those people, I ought not to deal with them, right? And that's okay. But speaking your mind and talking about things, you don't have to do a podcast like me. You don't have to be worldwide famous like Andrew Tate, but you can help and influence the people around you in a positive manner. And I think that's kind of each and every one of our goals every day. And that's what you can control is how you talk to the people around you, how you impact the people around you. And if you want to make a bigger impact on the world, you should go and try and do it. So I think that's regardless of backlash. And I think that's kind of the main message that I want to say when it comes to this whole Andrew Tate situation. Like he's doing so much that yes, he's been arrested again. Like he's going to continue to have to go through these pains and these terrors, right? With the good comes the bad, of course, always, right? The yin and the yang, right? He has a big lifestyle, so he gets to experience the best joys of life that the earth can bring. But at the same time, he goes through the worst of the worst. So I'm not saying you have to go through that, but say that he does go to jail and say that he maybe he does get murdered and things go bad. Like what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to, like the Charlie Kirk thing, just forget about it? Just stop talking about it? Just forget about the fact that we live in a world where these things happen? Or are you going to actually try and make an impact or try and speak out in some way? There are certain people that spoke out because of the Charlie Kirk situation, trying to help the world become a better place. Those types of people, I truly do appreciate. I truly respect those guys. So if the same thing happens to Andrew Tate, what are you going to do, right? Are you just going to move on? You're just going to forget about it? You should be like, you're going to be one of those people that are like, he kind of deserved it. He was kind of talking himself into it. Are you going to be one of those people? Or are you going to actually try and use it as fuel to make an impact, a positive impact to more and more people in your life as well? That's your decision, right? It's like, and that's really all you have the power to do is make that impact. So as Andrew Tate's been arrested, as they uploaded this podcast, it's made me think about the whole situation and kind of course, it made me think about the whole way the world works yet again, of course, as the Charlie Kirk situation did. Makes me think about the fact that they will, and this is the truth, that they will find the person, and then they'll find the crime. There will be no crime, and probably Charlie Kirk had no crimes to deal with. So they just said, hey, let's just skip that whole thing, right? The whole Andrew Tate, right? It's like first they cancel you, then they try to kill you, first they cancel you, then they put you in jail, then they try to kill you, right? Or well, no, they don't try to kill you. I mean, you could say they try to kill you because they tried to kill Trump, right? So you could say they try, but really the quote from Andrew Tate is, first they cancel you, then they put you in jail, then they kill you. Like, that's how it is. And Andrew Tate's lucky, I guess, that they haven't just gone straight to the bullet, but maybe they will soon if they cannot actually get him in jail. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. But I truly think that this arrest, that's the ultimate thing. This arrest is just another part of the saga. It's nothing new. It's nothing different. It's just the same old boring crap that I think at this point a lot more people are realizing, oh, it's like this is just what are we doing? We're just dragging this out now, right? And it's like I think more and more people are realizing it every day, but of course there's still a bunch of people that will never realize the truth of the situation, that will just kind of be trapped in the box of the system of the matrix that really does exist and not realize that yes, the governments are they're not there to help you, and they've never been helping you. And they're just there to grow in power and obviously the Epstein files, you can just look at that. And right, like the whole Israel situation, the Iran situation, you can look at all that and realize just how little these people actually care about you. They just want to stay in power. They just want to keep their influence, and they just want to slowly increase the amount of control they have over society. And that's why a person like Andrew Tate does not agree with their philosophy, and that's why he's a threat to what they're trying to accomplish in this world. So you have to remember that as these things happen, it becomes more and more obvious and clear that is absolutely the case. A few years ago, before Andrew Tate, this was a fringe concept, and you'd get canceled, you would get censored for saying stuff like this. Right? Obviously, I was too young even back then to understand these situations, and even I'm still pretty young, and I'm still learning and growing in my life. But I don't even know where I'm going with this point. But the point is they are the people that run the world are not there to help you. They're not there to save you. They're there to keep you trapped, and they're there to keep you brainwashed and controlled so that you don't rebel, so that they can keep their power and they can keep on breaking the laws and do whatever they want and go on the island. I'm sure like there's no more island, but I'm sure there's some other thing that they're doing, that they're doing some secret society or whatever. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. But the point is, it's like that's why Andrew Tate's arrested. Not because he's actually guilty, but because he is a threat to all that they stand for. And all that they stand for is all sorts of corruption and hate and terror and just bad stuff for the world. And that's why whenever I say the name Jesus Christ, whenever I talk about God, it's a threat to them as well, because God is also a way to realize, oh, these guys, they don't think about God. They don't think about what's good and morally right. They're just doing all sorts of crap. And that's a way to kind of have that structure and foundation to realize we gotta do something about it. And they don't want people to do anything about it. You can protest on the street and wave your picket signs. That's not going to make a difference ever. Violence will be the thing that makes a difference. But we're not there yet. But the more things kind of happen, you start to see that maybe things will start to change. But we'll see. We'll see. Because again, the internet's a great tool. The algorithms are a great tool to keep people stuck and to keep people brainwashed and psyoped into thinking that everything's going to be a-okay, happy, kumbaya, right? But it's really not going to be. I don't want to be the doomsday guy. I trust in God, and God has a plan for this world and for everyone in this life. You truly have to give your life up to Him, and you'll see just how much Jesus Christ really does love you. So I don't want to be the guy that's just, oh, everything's going to end, everything's going to die. No, actually, even if the world goes to crap, there'll still be an even more glorious situation that happens in heaven when our lives eventually end, and when God eventually, in Jesus Christ, does step down again to help the world become a better place and create the new heaven and the new earth. That's truly what the end will be. So it'll be glory. There'll be a lot of doomsday. There will be a lot of turmoil. But I think at the end of it all, there will be glory and there will be joy, just as everything else in life. Whenever there's tough situations, on the other side of the tough situations will be great joy. So from a worldwide perspective, something will probably have to change, right? And of course, as Andrew Tate's arrested and so many people still think he deserves to be in jail, something absolutely has to change in this world, and I guess we will just wait and see. Like, time will tell what actually does happen, what changes, and how this world will be in 5 years, in 10 years. If it even is still here. We will find out. We will find out. I'm not trying to be the doomsday perspective, but I just wanted to talk about this whole situation, and I do encourage you to go watch that podcast with Jack Neel to truly see for yourself the situation that happened from start to finish, and you can judge for yourself. Was it a righteous thing? Was it a good judgment? Was justice served? Or is he kind of being screwed over? That's your decision, right? And I think that's why they've made this episode and they made that podcast so that the people can decide. And most of the people really realize nowadays that actually, yes, we're just dragging this on for no reason now, right? So I encourage you to watch it, and I encourage you to get a good, unbiased perspective rather than just having your opinions on someone purely based off of clips. That's really all I got to say. And that's how I will end off this episode. And I will also end off this episode with give it to God. Give your life to Jesus Christ every day, because that will overcome any other narrative, any other thing in this world that may keep you trapped, that may keep you controlled in any way. Belief in God will give you strength like no other to overcome any of these situations, to overcome any and all corruption. So that's all I got to say for today. Thank you for watching. That's really my point, is that I don't think he's a bad person. Maybe he's done some bad things, but we all have, right? We all sin, we all fall short. That's the ultimate truth of life, right? To judge him for his shortcomings is hypocritical, just by nature, because we are all evil. And that, of course, is the Christian perspective as well, that we are all evil, that we all deserve hell, and giving it up to Jesus Christ because he's already paid the price for us is the way we achieve salvation, not through any of our works, because if our works are all evil. So you ought not to judge the guy, or judge anyone for that matter, because of their bad decisions and some things that they did. I don't think anything he did was actually illegal that is worthy of jail time. That's my opinion, and that's what I've seen based on everything that I've seen on the internet. But that's obviously only God knows, truly, only God knows. And of course he doesn't, like, he even feels that God's hand is with him, but again, the way in my opinion he looks at religion is not I think the right way, but that's just my thing. Not because he's Muslim, but because the way he sees religion as the way people act, right? Like, he sees the Christians and how Christians are weak, and he sees how Muslims are strong, so he wants to align with the strong people. And I understand that. Like, from his perspective, it makes sense, but that's not how you're going to attain salvation. Of course not. That's not how you're going to attain salvation, because if there are bad Christians out there, it's not because the Christian message is the wrong message. It's because we just fall short and because we are weak. And I did an episode a while ago about how Muslim societies are currently like in a probably more favorable position than Christian societies right now in this current time. Whether that still stands true or not, I don't know. Again, it's just my opinion, it's just my thoughts, just an idea I had that I wanted to talk about. But like, even if I disagree with him, that's okay. Right? I ought not to judge, and I ought to just understand the truth of the situation, at least what I believe to be the truth of the situation, which is I don't think he's guilty, and I think it is just truly the government trying to put a stop to anything that can go against their narratives. So that's really my point for this episode. That's where I'm going to wrap it up. I encourage you to go watch that episode and truly form your opinion on a guy that could potentially be helping this world in a better place, move to a better place. And that's really all I got to say. I wanted to touch upon it because I haven't really talked about him on this show for a while, and I want to make it clear that I support him, that I'm not in the negative camp. I'm not in the hateful camp for him. I truly think that he is a positive influence in the world. And what Jesus Christ says in the Sermon on the Mount, you judge a man by his fruits. That's truth. His fruits are large, first and foremost, not just materialistically, but if he really did those bad things, he would be in jail. The fact that he is still here and he still has a voice and he still is able to talk tells and speaks to the fact that maybe his fruits are good fruits. And like I look at that from that perspective as well. So you can give your own opinion, you can have your own judgment to it, but I ask that you do give it a fair shot. Don't just be those types of people that you only your own opinions are based off of other people's opinions. Formulate your own opinion on this situation and for everything else for that matter. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 podcast. That is really all I got to say for today. It was maybe a bit controversial if you disagree with some of the things I talked about, because obviously just talking about Andrew Tate is controversial, but that's my opinion and those are my thoughts and that's my idea. And sue me for it, right? I have a voice and it's not a very loud voice and it's not a very big voice, but it is a voice that maybe a few people will watch. Maybe this video, just because it has Andrew Tate's name in it, will get a little bit more views than normal. We'll find out. We will see what happens. So let me know what you think in the comments. Try to be respectful. I've tried my best to be respectful, but obviously if you're going to be hateful, I'm just going to delete your comments. That's how I deal with it because I don't like the hate on this channel. That's how we do it. But if you want to have a civilized argument, a civilized debate, and a respectful interaction, sure. Like a disagreement, or if you do agree, let me know in the comments. And if you did enjoy this episode, you did enjoy this perspective, and you appreciate this perspective at least, the very minimum, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, show your support on this show in any way that you can, because it is a small show. I don't have a big voice, and I am irrelevant. That's really the truth of the matter, right? Like it's just from a logical perspective, that's the case, right? Because I don't have that many followers, and that's the truth. So in terms of the whole battle for influence, I'm still low down. So any support that you can show that you actually enjoyed this episode or watching some of the other episodes that I made on this show, I would really appreciate that in any way that you can show your support. So thank you for watching this episode. That is all I got to say. I do encourage you to go and watch that Jack Neel, Andrew Tate podcast to truly formulate your own opinion on the situation. I think he's just been arrested because they're just continuing to drag it on. It has nothing to do with there's no real new charges. It's just they're trying to find ways to get rid of him. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. So thank you for watching this episode. That is all I got to say for today. Continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. And as always, I will see you tomorrow for the next episode of the 365 podcast.